Hello and welcome back to Foeonthefights. This is my prediction video for UFC Fight Night Keator versus Josh Emmett. Calvin Keator versus Josh Emmett. And I'm going to get right into it, okay? Starting off the night, we have Roman Dolidze versus Kyle Daukaus. Right now on the ESPN Plus, Kyle Daukaus, surprisingly, is an 81% pick, and Roman Dolidze is only 19%, which strikes me as very odd because if you look at their records, 9-1, 11-2, supposedly Kyle Daukaus has more experience, but I just don't think he beats Roman. Because Roman beat Trevin Giles, and I think Trevin Giles beats Kyle Daukaus. I mean, Kyle Daukaus has wrestling, length, but I'm not sure. My pick for this one is going to be Roman Dolidze. Okay, moving on. We have Phil Hawes versus Duran Nguyen. I'm picking Phil Hawes. The only way Duran wins is with the wrestling, obviously, but I think Phil Hawes, he's in the camp with Henry Hooft, and he seems to be progressing ever since he went blonde Hawes. Like blonde Brunson. He looks a lot cleaner in stand up. He's got pretty good takedown defense from what I remember. And yeah, we're gonna go with Phil Hawes. He's 11-3. Duran Nguyen is 7-2. 92% Phil Hawes. He's the favorite. Duran Nguyen only 8% picked him. So maybe you can make some money if you think Duran Nguyen's gonna get the dub, but I don't. I'm going with Phil Hawes. Moving on, this one, in my opinion, is an absolute lock with Cody Stamann. 94% picked Cody Stamann to beat Eddie Wineland at 6% picked, even less than Duran Nguyen. Wow. And it would be a miracle if Eddie Wineland beats Cody Stamann. I'm surprised at this point that Eddie Wineland hasn't retired, and I'm going to be talking about that later on in this picks video about fighters who I think should have been retired a while ago. But who am I? I'm just a hardcore MMA fan. And I don't mean any disrespect in this. Eddie Wineland's had a hell of a career. He's the man with the stash. The OG. Got KO'd like in his last two fights by Sean O'Malley, and I forget who his recent fight was, but I'm pretty sure he got knocked out. So yeah, Cody Stamann should win this with ease. We're going to pick Cody Stamann for this one. Then we have next, 1, 2, 3, fight 4. We have Maria Oliveira versus Gloria de Paula. 39% picked Maria Oliveira and a 61% for Gloria de Paula. Maria is 12-5. Gloria is 6-4. So Maria has 7 more fights than her. I think Gloria de Paula's been in the UFC longer, but if you're looking at the records, Maria Oliveira has the more experience. And I just scanned Gloria's record, and I'm not really blown away by her record. And I don't really know Maria Oliveira, but I'm going with my gut in this one. I'm going to say experience gets it done between these two Brazilian ladies. And we're going to go with Maria Oliveira in this one. Okay, moving on. We've got Ricardo Hamos versus Danny Chavez. Ricardo Hamos, great knees, great elbows, good stand-up, Brazilian, so got to assume he knows the jiu-jitsu as well. Danny Chavez is American. I'm not sure what Hispanic. He might have some Hispanic descent, but not positive. I think he's roughly new to the UFC. I think he had a big debut, so good for him. I think this is a hard one to pick. I could be wrong, so don't take my word for it. But I'm gonna make this safe pick and go with Ricardo Hamos. He's at 82%, and Danny Chavez, as of now, is at 18%. And then we have next the OG Court McGee versus the young stallion making waves, got so much power in his hands, Jeremiah Wells. Now, this is pretty much power and youth versus experience and grit. And I think Court could win this if he takes it to the ground every single round before he gets clipped with a hard-ass shot and gets put to sleep. I almost went with Court McGee. He's at 23%, the underdog, and Jeremiah Wells is at 77%. Court McGee is 22-10. Jeremiah Wells is 10-2-1. I'm going to go with the youth. I'm going to go with the power over the experienced older vet. So in this one, we're picking Jeremiah Wells. And next we have, I believe it's strawweight, Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Natalia Silva. This chick has a 68-inch reach, which is insane for strawweight. I mean, that's a long-ass reach. And she's 7-1. And Natalia Silva has more experience at 12-5-1. But from their highlights, you can't even find highlights on Natalia Silva. It's telling when there's not even a picture of the person on the picks chart. You know they're new to the UFC. This is probably their debut. I'm not sure if Jasmine's already fought in the UFC. I know, guys, I'll do more research in the future, but we're still a low profile show with not that many subscribers, so bear with me. It's gonna take time. I'm gonna go with Jasmine at 92%, and Natalia Silva is 8%. So we're picking the favorite, Jasmine Jasudavicius. Jasudavicius. She must be vicious if her name is Jasudavicius. Gotta be. Okay. And next we have, I believe this is in the bantamweight division, Adrian Yanez. No. It might be lightweight. I don't know. Is Adrian Yanez the guy who's supposed to fight Sean O'Malley? I forget. Anyway, he's picked at 86%, and Tony Kelly is the underdog at 14%. I've seen Tony Kelly fight. He's got a pretty good chin, pretty long, decent stand-up. I think he's pretty good at grappling as well. Adrian Yanez, if I'm thinking of the right person, is a sharp, crisp boxer. So I'm going to go with Yanez in this one. And he's also got way more experience at 15-3 against the Tony Kelly 8-2. So for that one, we're picking Adrian Yanez. And then next, we have a very close one on the odds at 51%, Julian Marquez versus Gregory Rodriguez. Okay? If you guys remember Julian Marquez, he's kind of a big, seems kind of slow guy. No disrespect. That's just his personality. He had the Miley Cyrus thing. I forget what it was. Get a tattoo or something. I don't know. But I like him as a fighter. I'm rooting for him. I'd like to see him do well in his career. He's got a hell of an opponent in Gregory Rodriguez. I mean, this guy has elbows and fucking hard punches and shots. I mean, knees, clench, the ground game. I mean, Julian Marquez is no slouch on the ground. But this is going to be a hard fight for both men. And I'm going to pick the slight favorite at 51%, Julian Marquez. Okay, moving on, we have Damir Ismagulov versus Guram Kutateladze. Guram Kutateladze. Okay, Damir is he's a fucking train. I mean, he just comes forward and keeps coming. He's a pressure fighter, super good grappler. Not familiar with his flag where he's from, but it's over there, so you know he's dangerous on the ground. He's 23-1, which is a pretty awesome record. But Guram is at 12-2, so He's only had one more loss than Demir, and I think Garam's stand up is gonna edge Demir's. I'm not so familiar with Garam's grappling, and I am familiar with Demir's. He's an excellent grappler, but I'm going with the underdog. I think Garam Kutatelidze gets the win. I think Demir, he needs a loss. I mean, this guy's been winning too much, and I'm not sure what's going on with him. In one of his fights, I looked at his highlights, and I didn't notice this in his older highlights, but recently in the UFC when he fights, I noticed he has like a tick or something where his eye twitches like right before the fight, during the fight, after the fight. I'm not sure. I mean, usually people have stuff like that after a stroke or something like that. I mean, hopefully nothing significant like that. Maybe it's just a genetic thing. I'm not sure. And I want to point out, I'm not making fun of him. It's just something I'm pointing out that I saw. That's not why I'm picking him to lose. I think Garam's stand up is gonna get him the win. So Garam Kutatelidze with picking him. Next up, excuse me. Okay. Sorry. Next up we have Joaquin Buckley versus Albert Durajev. These two men are absolute tanks for middleweight. I mean, cut some of that muscle off, they could be massive welterweights. Yeah, Joaquin Buckley, biggest chest in MMA, next to Alonzo Minifield at light heavyweight. But yeah, Joaquin Buckley, if you're not familiar with him, he got spinning, that spinning knockout kick where by Impa Kasanganai. He put him to fucking right to sleep, man. He threw like a push kick or something, and he caught it, and he spun on his own one leg and fucking whips a back taekwondo kick, puts him right out. And in this one, Albert Durajev, I'm gonna assume has the grappling advantage, and I'm gonna assume that's his pathway to victory. Is gonna be trying to get this down to the ground because Joaquin, from what I'm understanding, he's not the best grappler, but he is a monster on the feet, and he in his most recent fights just comes out with heavy pressure, throws a lot of power and everything. He might gas if it doesn't get over soon because he just got all that muscle, all that lactic acid buildup, so they like to say. And he's the underdog in this one at 40%, 14-4, going against Albert Durajev at 60%, 15-3. So yeah, I'm gonna take the underdog. I think Joaquin's gonna get a knockout. Ooh, and then his dad is fighting next. Kevin Holland versus Tim Means. Kevin Holland's one of my favorite fighters right now in the UFC. He's just a chill dude, kung fu fighter. Smokes a lot of weed, which I smoked weed every single day for ever since I was 15 and up till like 6 months ago when my lungs got super fucked and I started doing edibles, and up until like a week ago I finally quit. I'm super clean now, and I'm gonna keep it that way. But nothing against it. If I could, I'd still be smoking weed every single day. But it's my lungs; they're just trashed. If I smoke, I feel like I can't breathe. Feel like I'm choking. I feel like Santa Claus is sitting on my chest, or any fat person is sitting on my chest. That's what it feels like whenever I take a hit of weed now. So unfortunately, I'm sober. Anyway, I'm going for Kevin Holland. He's a 93% favorite. 7% pick Tim Means, the Dirty Bird. I mean, Tim Means has so much experience at 31, 12-1. That's a lot of fights. But Kevin Holland's, he's not green by any means at 22-7. Had a lot of losses to a lot of grapplers, but he's been working on his grappling for the past year. He's sick of people fucking bringing it up. So hopefully he can show us his improvements in this fight and get the dub. I'd like to see him get a sub or one of his classic knockouts. And he's fighting right after Joaquin Buckley, which is funny because those two have a history. Kevin Holland knocked out Buckley when they fought, and he likes to call him his son. If you go watch Kevin Holland's interview, he's like, "I'm not Batman, I'm Black Man." He's just funny as shit. Says some funny shit. And he threw money on the table saying he's got to pay child support for his son, Buckley. So we got Kevin Holland in that one. Okay, moving on to the co-main event. All right, we have Donald Cerrone, the OG, the most OG fighter still fighting. And in my personal opinion, I would like to see Donald retire after the Gaethje loss. It was so uncompetitive. He got hit and just kind of just sank down. Like it didn't look good. Didn't look like he should be fighting. It looked like he hit that age where it's just not. It's hard to come back from. But he had that fight with Nico Price where he looked okay. But I really think that was just Nico having so much respect for him. He's such a nice guy. He probably didn't want to fucking destroy Cowboy. But I could be wrong. Maybe Cowboy still got it. I mean, I'm not saying I want him to lose. I'd like to see him win. But I'm going to go with my gut and pick Joe Lozon, another veteran who's probably going to retire after this fight. And let's hope that they both retire after this fight. I'd love to see a heartwarming send-off for both of them. It'd be good to see Cowboy get a win on his way out. But I honestly think he's past his time. It's over. It's been over for a while. This fight got put together a couple months back and it fell through. Donald had some food thing or something. He said he didn't know what happened. He was throwing up, took some Pepto, felt better, but he still had this vertigo. And I wouldn't be surprised if a diehard Cowboy fan was working at that restaurant and sabotaged his meal for the sake of Cowboy because he didn't want to see him lose again. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. So yeah, we got Joe Lozon on that one. The underdog, 26% Joe Lozon, 74% Cowboy Cerrone. I believe this is his 50th fight, so Cowboy's breaking his own record. He's making it hard for these young bucks to catch him in the most fights stats. I believe he might have the most finishes as well or something. He's high up there, tied with what's the guy with the Lyme disease? He's a dog. He's a veteran. He's been around a long time. The name's escaping me right now. But you guys know who I'm talking about if you're hardcores like me. Okay? And then finally, we have in the main event, Keator versus Josh Emmett. Oh my God, this is going to be a great fight. What we have here, I believe, in my humble opinion, is power versus technical boxing, speed and timing. I think Keator has the edge in technique. He's super crisp. Everything's very fundamentals are very on point. Josh Emmett likes to throw hooks, looping shots, dips a lot, weird angles. Pretty good footwork I've seen in his last fight. Yeah, he's a very good fighter. He's the underdog here at 23%, 17-2, and then we have Keator at 77% at 23-5. And Keator had that horrible loss against Max Holloway, which could have been a life-changing fight. I mean, it was like shades of Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson, that fight, where you just really were worried about the health, the brain health of the fighter afterwards, like hoping nothing bad happened to him. And similar to the Tony, Dana had him sent right to the hospital, escort, whatever, immediately after the fight. And Keator seems to be doing okay now. I think he had a fight. I gotta do some research. I'm sorry, guys. The Boston finisher. He won against Giga Chikadze. That's right. That was his last fight. And yeah, if he can beat Giga Chikadze, you got to think he can beat Josh Emmett. I mean, because Giga is a lot to deal with. Totally different styles, but still, the pressure and striking from Giga is incredible. And I think the only weaker area in Calvin Kattar's game is probably the wrestling. But Josh Emmett, he's not much of a wrestler. He's more of a power puncher, pressure fighter. So we're going to go with Calvin Kattar. I think he's going to get a KO in like third or fourth round. Maybe first or second, who knows? But my gut would say the third or fourth just because experience level of Josh Emmett. I think he hangs in there for a while. Then finally, the tiebreaker. How many strikes will be landed in the main event? I picked 120. I think 120 strikes landed with a knockout in the second, third, or fourth, something like that. Yeah. Okay, guys. And that's Foeonthefights. Those are my picks. I'm going to run through them real fast one more time. And then, of course, if you guys want to bet on my picks, you like to know that I get them right. So, Sunday morning or Monday morning, I'll be doing my review show where I let you guys know how I did on my picks. I think last time I went 9-4. Before that, I went 11-2. So I'm over 50% most of the time. It's very rare I get less than half correct. So I'll show you the proof Sunday or Monday. We have Roman Dolidze winning over Kyle Dawkins. We got Phil Hawes winning over Duran Nguyen. We have Cody Stamann beating Eddie Wineland. We have Maria Oliveira beating Gloria de Paula. Then we have Ricardo Hamos winning over Danny Chavez. Then we have Jeremiah Wells beating the veteran Court McGee. Then we have Jasmine Jasudavicius, the longest reach in her division, I'm sure, beating Natalia Silva, the new fighter of the UFC who still hasn't had an image taken. Adrian Yanez, we got him with the win over Tony Kelly. Julian Marquez versus Gregory Rodriguez. We have Julian Marquez with the win. Very, very close fight, though. And then Damir Ismagulov, we have him losing to Guram Kutatelidze, the underdog. I think Guram's going to get that one. And then we have Joaquin Buckley with a very hard fight. I think he's going to get the knockout, though. The power, the pressure, the stand-up. Just worried about the ground in that one. Then we have Kevin Holland versus Tim Means. I hope this is going to be a kickboxing match because even though Kevin Holland's been working on his wrestling and grappling for the past year, his strong suit is the stand-up, and it's also the most exciting aspect of his fighting. It's so fun to watch. He does rush in and fall into people when he throws his shots. I'd like to see some technique adjustment made, more precise footing, getting his stands down correct, throwing shots and not falling forward with them. But he does have a lot of power and success when he does land. It's pretty catastrophic. So we got Kevin Holland beating Tim Means. And then we have Joe Lozon beating the veteran. We have the veteran beating the veteran. And Joe Lozon versus Donald Cerrone. Like I said earlier, I think Cerrone should have been retired a couple fights back. Maybe after the Conor fight. Definitely after the Gaethje fight. I think the Conor fight might have came after the Gaethje fight, but either one should have retired after those because they were just super uncompetitive, terrible. I mean, now he's fighting more out of the rankings, I believe, but still, I think he's past his time. I've said it twice now, maybe 6 times now. Sorry, Cowboy. I'd love to see him win, though. I'd love to see him win. It would make my heart warm, and I wouldn't be so upset that I got this pick wrong if I saw Cowboy win. But anyway, we're going with Joe Lozon. And then we have in the main event Calvin Kattar. We picked him to beat Josh Emmett. And then we had 120 strikes landed in the main event. And that's going to wrap up the picks show. This is a longer one. Sorry, guys. I hope it's not too long and dragged on. I'm trying to lessen the oohs and ums, because I got some good advice from a friend that that's not the best look when you're making content. So I'm going to start writing shit out and having it more of a flow instead of a sitting here taking my time, you know? So look forward to that in the future. I'm going to try to make the show better, guys. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. MMA content coming all the time now. Not just picks and predictions. I'll start talking about the news and what's going on in the fight world. Mostly UFC, because that's all I really have time to watch. I mean, there's just so much content they give us that it's hard to really pay attention to Bellator or PFL. I mean, if there's no fights on besides those and I find out, I'll definitely check them out, see what's going on sometimes. But also BKFC is kind of fun to watch sometimes. Triller Fight Club had that triangle shit with Mike Perry. I also heard Mike Perry's fighting Venom Page and Bare Knuckle. That should be fun. I think he gets destroyed, but I'm rooting for Mike Perry because I like Mike Perry. He's a fun guy, funny, crazy, hilarious. But I like to see him succeed. So thanks, guys. If you enjoy the show, like and subscribe again. And stay tuned for more MMA content, specifically UFC. Peace. Enjoy the fights.